Good afternoon, ETEC. This is Eric Abelquist, ETEC Chair. I want to welcome you and invite you to this special meeting, the annual meeting of ETEC. Begin by thanking our members, sponsors, and speakers who made 2020 a year that we will never forget. So I want to begin by recognizing our sponsors: Acato Information Management, Boston Government Services, Cadre 5, Energy Solutions, Fluor, IIA Technologies, Materials and Chemistry Laboratory, McLink, Mesa Associates, Navarro, ORUD, Pinnacle Financial, Retirement Planning Services, ProtoServe, TVA, UCOR, UT Patel, and Verizon. Thank you all very much for sponsoring this year's meeting. Be sure to click on their logos to learn more about each of these organizations. So at the very beginning of this meeting, it is my special announcement to welcome Congressman Chuck Fleischmann to the virtual stage. Congressman, the floor is yours.
Eric, good afternoon. Thank you and welcome everyone. It is a real pleasure and privilege to be with you all today. As a past recipient of the Muddy Boot Award and a strong supporter of ETEC and everything that we do in our great Oak Ridge community, I'm just glad to be with you all today. Just got back to the great state of Tennessee this morning. I started my day at around 2:17 and got a 6 o'clock flight out of DC to Chattanooga. So things are going well. I know we have a lot of great speakers. To the ETEC folks on the technology, I want to say thank you. I have been going to the different tables on the different floors, and I really appreciate this. I've gotten to visit with many of you all already, but the technology is truly outstanding, especially in light of the challenges that we have seen in COVID. I'll be brief. Things are very busy in Washington. This week we passed a 1-week CR into next year. Into next week to the 18th. It is my fervent hope that we will be able to get an omnibus bill done on the energy and water side. It looks good and robust. Also, probably the worst kept secret in Washington is that I have applied to be the ranking member, the highest Republican on the Energy and Water Appropriations Committee. Right now I'm on Homeland Approps, so I would be moving to be the ranking member on Energy and Water Appropriations. I don't know where that will land, but it looks very good. Either way, I will be a member of the Energy and Water Subcommittee, but with Senator Alexander's retirement, it would be critically important that I get this slot. And perhaps, we don't know yet, I may end up being the only appropriator in the great state of Tennessee. But Steve Howell is joining me on this call, my staffer. We are ready. We are an appropriator's office and we're built for that. But in closing, I want to thank each and every one of the sponsors. There's no question that what we do at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, at Y12, UPF, with our great cleanup mission, which is so critically important, not only in Oak Ridge, but around the country, that our work in Oak Ridge has made me a national congressman. I would commend each and every one of you to look at my interview on Fox that was just put out today, a very pro-nuclear power article. So I'm in my sweet spot. I'm going back for a 6th term in the 117th Congress. And with that, I'm about ready to wrap up and just wish you all the best and look forward to working with you at the conclusion of this Congress and, of course, in the next one. And I thank you.
Thank you very much, Congressman Fleischmann. We appreciate your continued enduring support of all the missions in Oak Ridge and the surrounding area. It's now my pleasure to recognize Mike Laufer, who is CEO and co-founder of Kairos Power, for a very important announcement. Mike, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate getting to an opportunity to speak to everyone on relatively short notice. So I'm just going to take a minute or two to introduce myself and let everyone in on some big news that Kairos Power is announcing today. So Kairos Power is a relatively new nuclear engineering technology company. We're only 4 years old, but we've been moving very quickly. Our big announcement today is actually we're moving forward. We've selected a site on the Eastern Tennessee Technology Park, the former K33 site, for a future development in the next couple of years for a test reactor to demonstrate our advanced reactor technology. So it's been a process we've been working through. Personally, I've been familiar with Oak Ridge and Eastern Tennessee since my graduate school days through collaborations with the lab. But Kairos Power is, I'll just do a quick introduction. We're a nuclear energy and engineering company. We're mission driven. Our mission is to enable the world's transition to clean energy. And we firmly believe that transition is much easier and much more likely to happen if safe and affordable nuclear power can be a part of that mix. So we've been working the last few years, but we've come out of both a university and national lab. So we're deeply connected to the programs that have been going for really the last 2 decades at Oak Ridge National Laboratory for our specific reactor technology. So we have very strong connections to the national lab there, and it's a major reason why we're excited to be coming to the area. So in terms of where we are, we have laboratories operational right now in California, and then also an R&D facility in Albuquerque, and we're looking to expand in Tennessee, and it'll be a reduced scale reactor that we'll be looking to develop. It will be licensed with the NRC, and right now we're on track for submitting construction permit application for that next year. So we're really excited about the decision. We're excited about the announcement of it today, and we're also really excited to get to know the local community in Oak Ridge better and engage with the community to get their feedback and their input. We know that it's a community that has a strong history connection to nuclear development, and we think that it's a great place to set up both the capabilities and the motivation of the workforce there is fantastic. The connections to partners that are already in the area, and then particularly for the site, the existing infrastructure there really it makes a lot of sense for us. So we're thrilled to make the announcement. The press release I think went live about an hour ago, and we're really excited to get to know everyone better in the area. And I'll just give recognition to Jim Rushton. He's been an advisor to not just Kairos, but the previous incarnations, and he's been saying wonderful things about ETEC for a long time. So thank you, and look forward to getting to know everyone better.
Mike, Randy McNally. I'm the Lieutenant Governor for the state of Tennessee and also a Senator and Speaker of the Senate, and represent the Anderson County, Knox County, Loudoun County area. We're glad to have you in Oak Ridge, and we are aware and appreciate your past commitments and to ORNL and Oak Ridge, and we look forward to a great relationship with you. Anything I can do to help, please feel free to contact me, and you can just use my Senate office number 615-741-6806. Thank you very much, and welcome to Oak Ridge.
Well, that's starting the meeting off with an exciting announcement. Thank you, Governor McNally, for your remarks, and we look forward to working very closely with Kairos Power on their upcoming endeavor. Well, the next part of our program is to reflect on 2020. And as you've already figured out, the celebration this year is a little bit different. First, you've probably noticed that we're not at the DoubleTree, and maybe we're not eating lunch right now. So we have a program that is still going to be exciting. There's going to be some thrills, surprises. I will say at the outset that all the winners have already been informed of their awards. And so what we're going to be seeing a little bit later in the program is we'll see their reactions to receiving either the Postma or the Muddy Boot awards. And we'll have a time of being able to show our appreciation to them as a group for their work for the community. And I think the tables are located on the first floor, so you can venture there at the end of the program to congratulate the awardees. So the word of the year by everyone's definition has been pandemic. We've talked about COVID, COVID-19, the virus seems daily. And so the word I want to mention as an alternative is resilient. Every person, every company, every organization represented in the room today had to adapt to the changing circumstances brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. We learned new ways to meet, and I can tell you I'm so grateful that ETEC was able to make the transition from in-person meetings in the very room I'm in right now to Zoom meetings, and I think we've only missed 3 meetings this year because of not being able to meet. So a tremendous pivot ETEC was able to make to keep on meeting. We learned how to protect people around us and how to continue operations safely. We learned how to meet our objectives in novel ways, and I just want to share a few examples of how the organizations that belong to ETEC were able to do that. In the midst of the pandemic, DOE completed Vision 2020. That is a remarkable feat of cleaning up the ETTP K-25 site despite the enormous challenges facing the workforce. ORNL transitioned its research portfolio to use its assets to help solve the COVID-19 challenge. Y12 managed to complete its extensive work plan for the defense of our nation, and UT received initial funding to stand up the Oak Ridge Institute. We were resilient, we adapted, and in many ways we succeeded beyond our dreams from back in March, when it seemed that all the rules suddenly changed with the announcement of COVID-19. We are grateful for how we were able to continue to conduct our missions. At the same time, we know that many people in the room today have been deeply affected by the virus. Family members, co-workers, friends have been lost. We mourn with them and want them to know they have our ongoing support. The challenge remains. How do we continue to improve our community, grow the federal program base, diversify the regional economy, and create new opportunities for the people in East Tennessee? We believe we can do it. We can do it because we are resilient, because that's what Oak Ridge means to us. We're able to accomplish major national missions, and we love to meet hard challenges. We do it because we work together. I can tell you it's been a pleasure serving as ETEC chairman this past year. I had no idea what I would be getting into, what we'd be getting into with the Zoom meetings, but I can tell you, thanks to the ETEC staff who provided all the information that we needed to get on, to have breakout rooms, to be able to have an interesting program each and every week. It was challenging, but we were able to have a year that surpassed all expectations when we first embraced the Zoom meetings back in the spring. So I'm very thankful to have been the ETEC chair during this challenging year. So with that, I'd now like to introduce Dr. Thomas Zachariah, the Laboratory Director at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and he will introduce our speaker for this afternoon. Thomas, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the East Tennessee Economic Council's annual meeting and award celebration. By all accounts, it has been an extraordinary year, and I want to thank ETEC members and staff for their efforts to maintain the connections that this organization creates. It is my privilege today to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Jonathan Gruber. I've had a number of opportunities to interact with Jonathan and his colleague at MIT, Professor Simon. They are really two amazing, talented people that I've enjoyed interacting with. Now, Dr. Gruber is the Ford Professor of Economics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He's also the former director of the healthcare program at the National Bureau of Economic Research, and a former president of the American Society of Health Economists. During the 1997-1998 academic year, Dr. Gruber was on leave from MIT as Deputy Assistant Secretary for Economic Policy at the U.S. Treasury Department. From 2003 to 2006, he was a key architect of the ambitious health reform effort undertaken by the state of Massachusetts. In 2009 and 2010, he served as a technical consultant to the Obama administration and worked with both the administration and Congress to help craft the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. He's a member of the Institute of Medicine, the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, the National Academy of Social Insurance, and the Econometric Society. In 2006, he received the American Society of Health Economists Medal for significant contributions by a health economist aged 40 or under. In 2011, he was named one of the top 25 most innovative and practical thinkers of our time by Slate magazine. In 2006, and again in 2012, he made Modern Healthcare magazine's list of the 100 most powerful people in healthcare in the United States. In 2020, he received the Guggenheim Fellowship. He has published more than 180 research articles, is the editor of 6 research volumes, and is the author of 3 books. His latest book, co-authored with his MIT colleague, Dr. Simon Johnson, and published last year, is called Jumpstarting America: How Breakthrough Science Can Revive Economic Growth and the American Dream. Dr. Gruber and Dr. Johnson looked at a story that is familiar to many of us in East Tennessee: how massive government investment beginning in 1940 generated breakthroughs in science and technology that created a foundation for new industries and economic growth. They also looked at the American economy today, in which job opportunities and economic growth are increasingly confined to a few geographic areas. Think Boston, San Diego, San Francisco, San Jose, and Seattle. Their book represents an ambitious plan to change the situation by focusing federal investments on the creation of new technology hubs. They identified 102 places across the country that have large, highly educated populations, strong universities, relatively low housing costs, and easy commutes. Now, it should not surprise you to learn that one of these places is Knoxville, the greater Knoxville area, which is ranked number 44 on this list. The ideas presented in Jumpstarting America are well matched to ETEC's mission of seeking new ways to use federal investments in science and security to create prosperity, promote regional development, and explore opportunities for growth. So with that, Dr. Gruber, welcome to ETEC.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here virtually for this conference. I'd like to thank Dr. Zachariah for the introduction. And I really enjoyed getting to know Dr. Zachariah and what he's accomplished and what he's hoping to accomplish at the Oak Ridge National Lab. And it's exciting for me to be here and be able to speak to you about that and about larger issues around R&D investment in the U.S. So what I'll focus my comments on today is the book I've written with Simon Johnson, also MIT, called Jumpstarting America. The origin of this book partly was an important news event we all followed a few years ago, which was the Amazon HQ2 competition. If you remember, Amazon announced they would have a second headquarters somewhere in North America. And they announced with 6 weeks notice that cities could bid to be entrants into this sort of competition to be an HQ2. 230 cities in the US bid, even only 6 weeks notice, did the work to put in their bids. And my co-author Simon, I thought that was striking because this was in a time in 2017 when the economy seemed to be doing pretty well. Unemployment was down, the economy seemed to be solid. Why were so many cities trying so hard to get this? And we realized that in some sense, the headline economic numbers, and this is pre-COVID, the good headline economic numbers really masking two things. One was slow growth of the US economy, that the US economy in the last few decades has really grown very slowly relative to historical standards. The second is enormous disparities in that growth, in that economic growth has become increasingly concentrated in a handful of what we call superstar cities on the coast, and that really it's not been spread around the country. And we looked more into this and started thinking about this, and we realized an important fact that had not been appreciated by many economists, which is that there was a fundamental change in the role the government plays in science investment in the 1960s. From World War II to the mid-1960s, the government played an increasingly strong role in financing research and development. And indeed, by the mid-1960s, 2% of our entire economy, one in every $50 in the US, was government-sponsored R&D. This government-sponsored R&D changed America and created not only virtually every technology we use today, but the greatest middle class the world's ever seen. So every technology we can think of, from digital computing to satellite technology to modern medicine, they all came out of the investments that were made in those couple of decades during and after World War II, when government really invested in public R&D. Moreover, while the government was investing in public R&D, it was also investing in science education through the National Defense Education Act, dramatically increasing the science and technology skills of our nation's students. So in basic economic terms, the government was increasing the demand for skills by investing massively in research and development. The government was increasing the supply of skills by increasing education of science. The result was a massive increase in high-wage, high-skill employment that drove the development of the modern American middle class. Indeed, if you look at the decades after World War II, over the 25 years after World War II, incomes nationally grew at 2.5% a year in real per capita terms. That is, holding inflation constant per person, every person had 2.5% more resources every year than the year before. And this was spread equally throughout the income distribution. The bottom of the income distribution had 2.5% more a year, and the top had 2.5% more a year. If you look at the several decades since, starting in about the mid-1970s, we've grown much more slowly at only about between a point and a point and a half per year, percent and a half per year. And it's been very unequally distributed, with virtually all the growth going to the top in the income distribution. What's changed is we have no longer pushed the scientific frontier in creating the high value-added jobs that promote middle-class growth and income mobility. Now, the first part of the book that I hope you'll read is really the history of how this happened, how we ended up being this world leader in R&D, and why we stopped, why we fell off, resulting over the several decades after the mid-1960s, a dramatic decline in public R&D, whereas today we spend 0.6% of our GDP on public R&D. We've gone from spending many multiples of any other country in the world to 12th in the world in public R&D spending. Now, you might ask yourself, why should we care? I mean, research and development is done by the private sector. Why do we care what the public sector is doing? Well, that's what the middle part of the book is about, is explaining the economics of why the public sector has a critical role to play in research and development. And that critical role is because of two fundamental limitations in the private sector. The first is that the private sector does not account for the spillovers delivered by R&D, by the fact that when you do fundamental science, it doesn't just benefit your firm, it benefits all firms. But for any given firm, it's not in their incentive to do that. They just care about their own bottom line. It's not they're bad people. They're just profit maximizers. They should be. They care about their own bottom line. So they are going to do research only that benefits them. They're not going to extend that research even if it benefits others. As a result, we've seen a dramatic shift in corporate R&D away from the R and towards the D, and away from public creation of science towards private creation of science. Corporate scientists used to be some of the leading scientists in our countries, winning Nobel Prize and publishing some of the top scientific publications. Over the last several decades, corporate publications have fallen by 60%. That is, publications by corporate scientists have fallen by 60%. Because corporations are saying, look, we don't want to share these secrets with our competitors anymore. Keep doing the research, but let's keep it private. So we cannot benefit from those spillovers. That's the first problem. The second problem is that the financing system that takes the ideas from the basic science to the market is broken. This finance system goes by the name venture capital. Now, you might think it's funny that I would say venture capital is broken. After all, the U.S. venture capital sector is the envy of the world. 60% of the companies in the stock market, in the Dow Jones Index, got started with, in the Dow Jones Index got financed by venture capital financing. Yet, if you look at VC financing, it's been focused very much on particular kinds of investments, on information technology investments that are high risk but low capital intensity, and which yield results in a very short time. And this is because the nature of how venture capital is structured. They operate by a model that's called spray and pray. They want to invest small amounts of money, not small to me and you, but small to them, $3-5 million, maybe up to $10 million, in a bunch of investments, knowing that roughly speaking, the majority will fail. 70% of venture capital earnings is made on their top 9% of investments. They understand it's the winners that matter. So rather than bet heavily on a few things, they want to bet lightly on a bunch of things. Well, if you're going to bet lightly, software and apps and information technology is a great place to bet. But things like clean energy or fundamental investments in robotics are not, because those are expensive, long-term investments. And you just can't take enough bets on them to make sure that you'll hit. As a result, the venture capital has been biased towards things that are very successful, Apple and Google and companies like that, but not towards fundamental scientific advance in areas like clean energy or robotics or things like that. As a result, the private sector has not provided the kind of advances in R&D that public sector financing does. And this, we have lots of evidence in the book from dozens of economic studies to support this, including evidence showing that the returns to R&D spill over massively beyond companies. And we also have stories, like the story of a company in Boston that was creating lithium-ion batteries, a very important growth sector in the 1990s when they were working on it, in the early 2000s. And they had a very successful new technology for batteries and good customers like Hewlett-Packard and Saab. And they wanted to expand. In particular, they wanted to build a new plant in Western Massachusetts, which would have employed 500 people. But U.S. venture capitalists wouldn't finance it. They said, look, this is going to cost $200 million. We don't have that kind of money. We're not going to do it. Chinese venture capitalists, on the other hand, were willing to invest in it with one small condition, that the plant be built in China. That's jobs that the U.S. lost to another country because our venture capital sector wouldn't support this kind of innovation. On the other hand, public investment in science has shown huge returns. There's also dozens of studies showing that public R&D complements rather than crowding out private R&D and leads to fundamental innovation that creates jobs and growth. Okay? There's studies like studies of the NIH, which show that every dollar of NIH investment, the National Institute of Health, which invests in basic science, in basic medical science, every dollar of NIH investment leads to $8 of private investment. And then every dollar of NIH investment leads to $3 in ultimate stock value and improved company performance. And there's also stories, once again, including one of my favorite stories from the book, which is what happened when a private scientist who won the Nobel Prize for sequencing DNA, and it actually already started a successful company called Biogen, you might have heard of, a guy named Walter Gilbert, decided that in the mid-1980s, the future would lie in mapping the human genome. Now, at that point, this was an endeavor which would have taken decades and cost a lot of money, but he was confident that once it got started, it would happen much more quickly. So he wanted to raise $10 million, chump change, to start this company, and he couldn't. Because private investors said, well, it's going to take too long, and even when you're done, it's going to be a public map of the human genome. Why do we want to finance that? So his efforts to start a company failed. Fortunately, he and other scientists were able to convince the federal government to finance this activity. They did, creating the Human Genome Project, which over 13 years spent $3 billion mapping the human genome. Well, the results are one of the most important successes in science of the last 100 years. The Human Genome Project, the genomics industry in the US, now employs 270,000, directly employs 270,000 people, earning an average wage of $70,000 a year. And in 1 year, pays $6 billion in taxes, or twice the 13-year investment. Moreover, absent that Human Genome Project, we would not have the new vaccines for COVID. This is exactly a perfect example of what public investment in science can do. If we'd relied on the private sector, which wouldn't finance Walter Gilbert's mission, we wouldn't have had the mRNA vaccines. Okay? So basically, public science works, but both public and private science suffer from a fundamental limitation, which is that they're concentrated in a small set of cities, so-called superstar cities: New York, Boston, DC, LA, San Francisco, Seattle. 90% of all the innovation jobs in recent decades have been concentrated in less than 10 cities, mostly on the coasts. This wouldn't necessarily be a problem if everyone could just move there. I mean, after all, it's not a problem to have these tech hubs. People could just move there. The problem is people can't move there because the cities don't want them. And they've shown they don't want them by not being willing to build housing to support them. The regulations in all these cities limit the amount of housing that's available, so that the average house price in the 10 highest wage cities in America is 3 times the average house price in all other cities in America. As a result, these cities are where the technology innovation is happening, but people can't move there to get the jobs. Okay, thus the frustration the rest of the country's feeling. But that doesn't have to be so. There are dozens of places around the country that could become next generation tech hubs. So what my co-author did is we went to the data. We said, look, how many places in America are big? They have at least 100,000 working age population. They're well educated. They have a high share of college graduates and a good university. And they're affordable. The average house price is less than $225,000, which is the median in the US. We found 102 such cities, places like Knoxville, Tennessee, where there is a highly educated population. It's large so that you can really have the scale to become a tech hub, and it's affordable. Okay? Places all over the country: Rochester, New York, Columbus, Ohio, Tucson, Arizona, all over the country that meet these conditions could be next generation tech hubs. But right now they can't compete with the giant sucking sound that is coming from these coastal superstar cities. So how can we help them compete? How can we make them tech hubs? Well, to do so, we can look to a story that's my favorite story in the book. And now I'll ask a question I can't know how you'll answer because I'm not there with you. But I venture you'll get this wrong, not because I'm some kind of arrogant jerk, but because I've asked this question about 2,400 times now. About 17 people have gotten it right. Okay. My question for you is, what city in America is the worldwide hub, or really the US hub at least, of the computer simulation industry, as well as the largest university by enrollment in the country, largest or second largest, depending on the year, but let's go with largest. home of the computer simulation industry, and largest university in the country. Now, if you read the book, no fair. Thanks, read the book, but no fair guessing. But if you haven't read the book, how many of you guessed Orlando, Florida? Now, I'd like someone from this conference to email me and let me know how many folks were attending and how many guessed Orlando. And those of you who did, congratulations. But why Orlando? What's the story? Well, it's a great story. What happened was in 1956, the editor of the Orlando Sentinel endorsed a little-known politician named Lyndon Johnson for president. He endorsed him again in 60, held a big parade for him in 64. So Johnson in 65 called him up and said, "You've been great to me. What can I do for Orlando?" And the editor of the Orlando Sentinel says, "We want a Navy base." Now, did Lyndon Johnson let the fact Orlando's landlocked stop him from giving the Navy base? No, he didn't. He's Lyndon Johnson. So Orlando got a landlocked Navy base. It even has a cement ship out front. Well, what do you do at a landlocked Navy base? You train. So this became a naval training center, including a small battle simulation unit that had been in Long Island that got moved down to this naval base in Orlando. Fast forward to 1978. There's a medium-sized, mediocre university called the University of Central Florida with a very innovative president. And the president notices land is cheap below the university. So he goes to the Navy and he says, "Look, you've got this Navy base nearby, and they've got this small unit called a battle simulation unit, and they're starting to fool around with computer simulations. How about if we take that piece of your base off your base, put it below the university, and build a research park around it?" And the Navy agreed. Today, the Central Florida Research Park, which is 45 minutes from Orlando, it's got nothing to do with Disney. The Central Florida Research Park has 10,000 employees. And East Orange County, away from Disney, another part of Orange County, another part of Orlando, has added 100,000 jobs in 30 years because of that government investment. Most of the jobs now, by the way, in the Central Florida Research Park are not government jobs. 70% are private sector. It was exactly the kind of jumpstart Orlando needed. And that's the kind of jumpstart we can do around the country. So the last part of our book is a proposal for how to do that, which is a massive investment in federal R&D. We suggest increasing federal R&D by 0.5% of GDP, which would take us from 12th in the world to the top 3 in the world, and could create 4 million new jobs a year in the US. Okay, so about 100 billion a year in R&D. But don't just let that R&D come to the same set of 10 cities. Let's hold a national competition, choose some of that money to set up new tech hubs, get places which have the educational infrastructure, the business infrastructure, where businesses and governments and educational institutions work together to create new technology hubs, much like the Oak Ridge National Labs could do with Knoxville, to create a common technology hub which can become a Seattle of the future. Okay, so let's hold a competition to pick which places can do that, and let's devote, let's give them some resources to jumpstart them like Orlando got. I'm very pleased to say this idea has really caught on, and there's now at least 3 major pieces of legislation which include major new fundings for R&D and creation of these tech hubs, one of which is a bipartisan, bicameral piece of legislation led by Senator Chuck Schumer in the Senate, but with the Republican Senate and Republican and Democrat House sponsors, that puts $110 billion into this idea over 5 years. Smaller than we wanted, but it's in the right direction. So this is a very exciting moment for this kind of innovation. We're really pleased to be part of it. We're pleased that President Joe Biden has made investing in R&D a piece of his presidential platform. He even cited our book, which was very exciting. And we hope that between his interest and the congressional interest, even in such a divided country, we can move forward on a bipartisan basis to invest in R&D. Because here's the bottom line. This is not a blue or red issue. This is an issue about growing our country. Science makes jobs. If we invest in science, we'll get more jobs. Everyone can get behind that. We need to all get together to support these kind of initiatives, the kind of initiatives we're seeing from this congressional legislation, the kind of initiative President Biden proposed, and the kind of initiatives Dr. Zachariah and others at Oak Ridge National Labs and Knoxville are talking about to move together to create these next generation technology hubs. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your listening.
Thank you, Dr. Gruber, for your inspirational message for the importance of investing in science. We really hope to have an opportunity to meet you in person soon. Today, we appreciate you taking the time to share your remarks with our ETEC annual meeting. So who is ready for the awards program? We've now reached that point in our program where we're going to hear from David Bradshaw, who has a few words to say about the Postma medal. David, are you with us?
In 2005, the ETEC Board of Directors created the Postma Young Professional Medal to honor the accomplishments of young professionals who have made an impact and fostered a community culture in our region. Former ORNL Director Dr. Herman Postma epitomized this community spirit during his life, and his wife, Dr. Pat Postma, continues this tradition of service today through her involvement in the Oak Ridge community. The recipient of this medal must significantly contribute to the community, drive the development of a private company or product, sustain continued involvement in public service, or provide leadership within federal programs. Criteria for award include, but are not limited to, community vision, business development, building consensus, and other criteria as deemed appropriate by the Board of Directors and Selection Committee. Communities succeed by supporting and mentoring their young leaders. The Postma Medal recognizes the young emerging leaders in our community as the base upon which our future success will be built. We know they will do well. It is an honor for the ETEC Board of Directors and Selection Committee to present the Postma Medal today.
Good afternoon. I am Pat Postma, and I'm here to introduce the winner of the Young Professionals Medal. That was an honor bestowed on my husband and me shortly after he died, because both of us have been very active in the community. And I still think there's nothing more important than getting into your community and making it a better place. So it's a pleasure to look over these active young people in our community and get to present this award this year. I am presenting one of these, and we have two winners this year. The young professional I'm talking about who's winning this 2020 Young Professionals Medal is a graduate of the University of Tennessee in the discipline of accounting. That word professional means considerably more than just an academic discipline here. All of the people who know this person cite them as the epitome of professionalism, poised, active, vigilant, very personable, very vital, and interacting professionally in everything they undertake. And they undertake a lot. Over 2 counties, this person has interacted with a broad spectrum of the community, partly in their daily job, but also as a board member in an impressive number of committees and nonprofits in the community. Active in behalf of the young people in our community through the Boys and Girls Club. Active in ADVAC in helping get sustainability and self-sufficiency for the low-income families in Anderson County. And above all, active in economic development in ETEC, the Industrial Development Board, and the Roane County Alliance. If you haven't already guessed who our winner is, then I'm going to give you a big clue. She is certainly and currently the chairman of the Roane County Alliance, and our winner is Sasha Benjamin.
Sasha, I congratulate you from the bottom of my heart, and I cannot tell you how proud I am of you for achieving this honor, but it really doesn't surprise me at all. From the day I came here 3 years ago, there was no question in my mind that there was nobody that loves Oak Ridge the way that you do, and your dedication through work and outside of work to better this community is absolutely laudable. So congratulations to you. Big hug of congratulations, and thank you so much for being part of ORUD and positioning us so fantastically in the community. We all love this city, but you definitely carry that baton for us. So congratulations.
Please come forward.
I don't know what's happening. I'm really confused. I think she might be surprised.
Sasha, on behalf of the East Tennessee Economic Council, and in recognition for your great contribution to the Oak Ridge community through the years, it's my pleasure to present you with the Postma Medal. The rest of the Oak Ridge commissioners are here to share this pleasurable moment with us.
Oh my gosh.
So, congratulations.
Thank you. This is amazing. I don't know what to say other than I'm incredibly honored and very proud to be a part of this community.
Sasha, congratulations. In so many ways, you're the face of the Oak Ridge Utility District. And at this moment, you should consider yourself the face of ETEC. We are so proud of you. You've accomplished so much, and we look forward to future things, bigger and better things from you in the future. Congratulations.
Congratulations. What a great honor and so deserving. We on the board of the Oak Ridge Utility District have been so pleased to work with you over the years. You've done so much for the district, and now it's great that we can share you with the entire community, and you're doing such a fabulous job for the community. Congratulations. You have such a great future ahead. We're so glad that you received this just very distinguished award. Thank you.
Sasha, I'm so proud of you. It was just a few years ago that I met this beautiful young woman that was eager and enthusiastic about life and what she was going to do. You gave me one of the highest compliments I have ever received when you said, "Someday I want to be like you." Sasha, I hope I can become more like you. I look forward to seeing, my dear, what you're going to do with the rest of your life. The world is at the bottom of your feet, and it's going to be unbelievable what you can do. I'm so proud of you for winning this Postma medal, and I think this is just beginning of many, many more. Congratulations, and I love you.
Sasha, Dr. Herman Postma was a tireless promoter of the Oak Ridge community and set a high standard for support of our area. I think this award is well deserved, and you are doing a great job of carrying on the tradition that he set, and congratulations.
Wow. So you can see I was really surprised when it was given to me that day. I didn't see it coming. I kind of struck mute, and I am again, after hearing all the beautiful words from people that mean so much to me. I'm going to try really hard to keep this quick because I'm going to cry. And I'm just incredibly honored and very excited, very surprised. And I really do love Oak Ridge and love this community and love being a part of all of these wonderful organizations. Following in the footsteps of all the people that I know that have won this before me, I'm just kind of awestruck. So thank you very much. It has a great place here in my office. Makes me smile every time I come in and see it. So thank you. Thank you again.
I'm privileged to be the presenter of this year's Postma Young Professional Medal. This award was created to honor the accomplishments of young professionals who've made an impact and fostered a community culture in our region. What an important, timely topic, given that strong communities are the building blocks of strong, unified nations. As I share with you information about this year's honoree, you will no doubt recognize that this is a person who served others through involvement in the community, one who truly understands that the strength that building a community requires dedicated work on behalf of others in the community. I'll share a few examples drawn from the nomination for this award, from testimonials submitted in support of the nominee, and from personal knowledge of this person's contributions. Along with community vision, another important criterion for this award is the person's business acumen. In business, the winner is known as a diligent worker who focuses on delivering outstanding service to customers, as a valued and trusted business partner, as an excellent communicator, and as reachable and responsive. Clients and colleagues alike describe the individual as charismatic and outgoing and focused on meeting the customer's needs. The focus on meeting customers' needs has been a key factor in growing and maintaining business for the businesses with which the honoree has been associated. Importantly, these talents have not been utilized exclusively in growing business. As an AYSO soccer coach, the talents have been used to benefit future generations. As a member of Emory Valley Center's Board of Directors in serving children and adults with disabilities, and as president of the Emory Valley Foundation Board, raising funds for the Capital Count campaign along with the endowment for the Emory Valley Center. As a member of the Rotary Club of Oak Ridge, the individual has demonstrated the principle of service above self and has taken on more than one leadership role.
Hey! That's my much better half.
I know you.
I can salute you.
Hi.
Well, hi there.
Hi. This gentleman needs to
Oh my gosh.
I'm privileged to be the presenter of the Postma Young Professional Medal this year, and by now you've all recognized the identity of the winner. A man who has truly demonstrated an understanding of what it takes to build a strong community. It's my pleasure to present this award for all he's done in his service as a member of ETEC, as a Rotarian, and throughout the Oak Ridge community to this year's winner, Joe Storch.
Oh my gosh.
Joe, this is an honor.
Thank you so much.
Well deserved.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm proud to present you with this medal for your continuing work to benefit others in the community through your service.
Oh, thank you so much. This is like super, super special. And it means so much that Jess is here, because she doesn't get to, obviously, between having a job that, she's always busy with on site and obviously the most important job, raising our family and keeping me in line. She doesn't get to see the other efforts that I put in. So I'm so taken aback by this. It means so much. So thank you so much.
Well, it means a lot to me to make the presentation, Joe.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. This literally means the world to me, just because this community has meant so much, and having my family here and my friends I've done so much community work with, it just means so much. Thank you.
I've always been impressed with Joe. He's always been a warm, welcoming person at our Friday in-person meetings. I truly miss that and hope to get back to that soon. I ran into Joe and his wife on a plane trip one time, and his wife told me that no matter where they go, Joe has friends, and I could see that about him. I've always been amazed at how easy it is to get to know Joe and how engaging he is, and as soon as I met him, I knew that he was a great young professional and worthy of recognition. Joe's efforts for the membership drive are just an excellent example of his approach and his go-get-it attitude. You can see in the couple of years that he's led the committee that we've seen great growth in our membership. Congratulations, Joe, on this award.
I actually met Joe through his brother Lauren, who we support, and Emory Valley Center was in need of a board member that was a family member of somebody that we support, and Joe stepped right into the role, which is a really hard role to fill because it's really hard sometimes for somebody to be objective when looking at the business of the agency and not being subjective based on their loved one, and Joe did an amazing job. Joe served duly on the Emory Valley Center Board of Directors as well as the Emory Valley Center Foundation Board, and the best thing is anytime we had an opportunity and needed a volunteer, Joe always showed up. And what was really great is since he has such a big family, his family showed up with him. So we always had a couple extra people at any given event to help with all the different things that we needed help with. And then on top of that, Joe just was always a great support to me whenever I needed somebody in difficult situations or anything like that. He was always there to help me through whatever I may have. Joe is one of the most mission-minded people I know, and just so grateful that I've had the opportunity to work with him and all of his support he's provided to the center over the years. He's just an incredible person, and so proud of you, Joe, and congratulations.
Congratulations, Sasha and Joe, our Postma Medal awardees this year. And now it's time to find out about our Muddy Boot awardees. But first, we're going to hear again from David Bradshaw, who will tell us a little bit more about the history and significance of the Muddy Boot Award. David?
Each year, the East Tennessee Economic Council honors individuals or groups of people that have helped build our community's economic base with the Muddy Boot Award. The award was started 47 years ago to appropriately reflect the Manhattan Project founders of Oak Ridge, who, working through adverse conditions, often came home literally with mud on their boots. It has been presented to nearly 100 deserving recipients. The award is given to individuals, not institutions, who go above the call of duty, like those aforementioned Manhattan Project workers, to make the community, the state of Tennessee, and the nation a better place to live and work. Participation in the community beyond the workplace is essential. Criteria for award include, but are not limited to, significant political contributions, significant program contributions, project management, scientific contribution, technology transfer, managerial creativity, business creation, sustained efforts for regional growth, and other criteria as deemed appropriate by the Board of Directors and Selection Committee. Award winners are often surprised, as I was in 2017, to be selected for the award. It recognizes a body of work performed over time focused on positive community impact. It is an honor for the ETEC Board of Directors and Selection Committee to present the Muddy Boot Award today.
Well, I'm Ken Reuter. I'm president and CEO of UCOR. We're the environmental cleanup contractor working here at the Oak Ridge Reservation for the Department of Energy, and it's my honor to be here today at the K-25 History Center to share a bit about our award recipient. I've known this individual now going on 10 years. It's been a great honor knowing this person and the critical role they've played in partnering with our community, with a number of civic organizations, a number of regional organizations to make things like the K-25 History Center possible. A number of other major activities associated to enabling environmental cleanup and remediation. Over the past 10 years, I've gotten the opportunity to really get to know this individual and call them a friend, build a connection with them. You know, one of the first things when I get the opportunity, and I see this person on a monthly basis, that they share with me, very first thing they offer every time I get with them is they don't ask about work, they don't ask about the progress of our mission. they ask me how my family is doing. They specifically ask how everybody's health is at. We talk a bit about grandkids and things of that nature. And so he's a very family oriented, very person conscious individual. When I get a chance here to name who they are, you'll get a better and have a direct appreciation for how caring they really are, and the number of people that they serve each and every day. They're a major driver in our region with regard to communities and the importance of them, environmental cleanup, the moral obligation that we have as a nation to each of the communities in which we're doing environmental cleanup in support of the Cold War legacy and all that takes place there. This person has been an advocate for Tennessee Riverline Initiative here in East Tennessee. This person has essentially been a major driver with regard to the institution of blueways as a natural asset in East Tennessee. And so I think with that information, you probably know who I'm talking about. So it is my great honor and pleasure to announce Ron Woody, Roane County Executive, as a 2020 Muddy Boot Award honoree and recipient.
You almost stay out of the office.
Ron Woody.
What's that again, Gruber?
I want to congratulate you as the 2020 recipient of the Muddy Boot Award.
No way.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So this was
a great honor.
This was a.
I present this to you.
Well,
utmost sincerity. Thank you for all that you've done for our community, in our region, and our nation.
Well, thank you. This is a big surprise. So you brought me up here under pretense of something else.
So we haven't set up. If you'd like to say a few things, I can step away and take your.
Well, I'm just so honored and surprised. I got to figure out why now I've received this award, really, I suppose. But I do appreciate everything ETEC does. They are very instrumental in our community for what they do for economic development and building relationships and partnerships. So I'm just shocked and honored. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you.
Congratulations on being one of the winners of the Muddy Boot Award for 2020. It was an honor for me to be able to nominate you because you have been such an advocate for the Roane-Enderson corridor, and you've diligently given of your time to increase the quality of life here. It's been great to be able to serve on the Energy Communities Alliance board with you, and you have been such a wonderful asset to have there. You've also been such a huge advocate for the national park, and especially for the K-25 overlook and restoring it. Everything you've done in your life has been for either your family or your community, and it is wonderful to be able to know you. So congratulations, and I know that you have a lot more wonderful things to do. And by the way, I'm still waiting for that canoe trip down by K-25. So grab your paddles, let's go.
Ron, a heartfelt congratulations for winning the 2020 Muddy Boot Award. It's been a great pleasure and honor to be working together for many years. Since the summer of 2011, we got the opportunity to meet each other. And thank you so much for all that you do for our community as ECA chair in 2020, and in all the effort to establish natural assets within Roane County, especially all the Blueway initiatives. I very much have enjoyed working with you on that and enabling that through our collective efforts to clean up the former K-25 site.
staff. It was a real big surprise. You all in 2010 welcome the family. I appreciate it. I've been blessed over the years that my wife allowed me to be on practice for the ETEC, travel to talk to a lot of the DOE sites. My staff back in the office, they enjoy leaving also. Sometimes I think we try to schedule things to get out. But I appreciate the staff. I've got a great staff. Thanks goes out to my wife, my staff. Senator Ken Yeager, we started together in 1983. Year in a county executive, we have a good brother, Joe. I helped Ken get where he's at. Ken always says, what he's calling me, where you're at. So thank you, Senator Yeager, for all you've done. Tom Ballard, I can't say enough. You hired me in 2002, University of Tennessee. I appreciate what you do. Both these individuals helped me and helped my there's many others that you think about these Jeff Sharon Temple. We're married company and great mentors that I've had. Listen, if I can help you in this way, anyone, please let us know. One thing I said when I get to come together today, I want everybody to know that the Oak Ridge National Lab installation is front source in Monroe County. So I'll say that again. You did that together. Thank you for letting me be part of the ETEC family. ETEC, thank you for all you've done. I am truly honored.
Well, actually, Thomas, we've got something to do here.
Thomas, this is all weird because of circumstances. I'm going to present you with something up here and do it with a mask. And
Oh, hi Jim, how are you?
We're doing fine. Billy?
I've been working in Oak Ridge now for about 20 years. And I've come to appreciate that Oak Ridge is a really special place. I think one of the most unique aspects about Oak Ridge is the ability of a relatively small city of 30,000 people to attract an incredible array of talent from every corner of the world. Today's recipient of the Money Boot Award illustrates that unique aspect of Oak Ridge better than anybody I can imagine. His background is literally worlds apart from East Tennessee. As a young man, Thomas left southern India and came to America with his beautiful wife, Sindhu. Like many of us, they lived frugally when they were young in a one-bedroom apartment over a pizza parlor. Thomas found his way to Oak Ridge in 1987 when he came for what he thought would be a one-year appointment as a postdoc at the laboratory. Even though as a young man he had already lived in India and upstate New York and Mississippi, he decided to plant his roots in Oak Ridge. This is the place where it's customary to read a lengthy list of accomplishments and awards, but somehow that didn't seem to make sense for today's Muddy Boot Award. Instead, let me share with you a true story. 2 decades ago, the world of high-performance computing in the United States was dominated by 3 national labs at Los Alamos, Berkeley, and Livermore, and by 2 universities in San Diego and Pittsburgh. Oak Ridge was not even a part of the conversation. Late one afternoon in 2000, Thomas sat in the director's office and attempted to describe a future that was difficult to comprehend. In a time when the most powerful computer in the world did not have as much capacity as our cell phones today, Thomas painted a picture of a machine that was so powerful it could perform not 1 million calculations, not a billion, not even a trillion, but a mind-blowing quadrillion calculations per second, requiring a volume of power and architectural complexity beyond our imagination. Most of you know how that story turned out. Working with Thomas's plan, Oak Ridge built the most powerful supercomputer on the planet. And today, not just in North America, but in Asia and Europe, the words Oak Ridge is the brand for leadership in scientific and computational science throughout the world. The most important thing to understand is that Thomas has never quit gazing over the top of the hill in search of ways to invigorate the Oak Ridge community. Most recently, he conceived and guided the creation of the Oak Ridge Institute, funded in part by $20 million from the Department of Energy, to create in Oak Ridge a future pipeline for scientists and engineers. Perhaps most ambitious of all, Thomas envisions the creation in Oak Ridge of what he calls the innovation ecosystem. Just like in computing, he believes we have the components needed for a future in which Oak Ridge is added to the list of America's leading centers for new companies and high-tech jobs. I cannot think of anyone else who represents that marvelous possibility when you combine two magnificent cultures. We could not have accomplished much of what we have without India, and we could not have accomplished it anywhere else but in Oak Ridge. And that's what makes this place so special. It's my pleasure today to award the 2020 Muddy Boot Award to the director of Oak Ridge National Laboratory and my friend, Dr. Thomas Zachariah.
Thank you. Thank you, Billy.
No, I'm Ron Townsend, currently with Battelle Memorial Institute. A longtime resident of East Tennessee, prior member of ETEC. I've known Dr. Thomas Zachariah for 2 decades, worked closely with him. Billy Stair said it extraordinarily well. But Thomas, it's my honor and pleasure to add my congratulations to your selection as a Muddy Boot Award winner this year. You are so well deserving. You have long been a champion of many initiatives that will strengthen the vitality of East Tennessee. There's no stronger advocate than you. I'm personally aware of many things that others aren't. Regarding your strong advocacy behind the scenes for resources and policy changes in places like Washington, D.C., that will position Oak Ridge National Laboratory as even a stronger regional catalyst for innovation and economic development. Thomas, you are one extraordinary leader with an inspiring vision. Oak Ridge and East Tennessee are clearly benefiting from your inspirational leadership. Congratulations, Thomas, on this so well-deserved recognition. Congratulations, my friend.
Well, thank you, Ron, and thank you, Billy. I just want to say that I deeply appreciate receiving this recognition. I'm honored and grateful to be selected by the East Tennessee Economic Council for Muddy Boot Award. Certainly, the Muddy Boot Award represents distinguished company. Nobody achieves success alone. Without others who've come alongside and working with you and challenging you to make your ideas better. Without that, no one can succeed. While those individuals who have helped me are too many to count, I would like to recognize some. The most important, of course, is my wife, Sindhu. Whatever I may have accomplished, it would not have been possible without her alongside me as a wonderful partner, mother, and counselor. I have learned over the years that she's the one person that I must listen to. It's always to my benefit. At the lab, of course, I've enjoyed the mentorship of eminent scientists like Stan David, who hired me, took a chance on me when he hired me as a postdoc. The example of leaders like Bill Madia and David Milhorn, who I still remind myself and others to take a chance on someone with big dreams for ORNL. The talents of colleagues who worked diligently to place ORNL on the world map in computing. Many of you may know them because they are not household names, but they were there in the trenches, working evenings, weekends, 7 days a week. People like Debbie McCoy, Surjan Shimonovic, Rad Radhakrishnan, Gaurav Sharma, Buddy Bland, Don Maxwell, Al Geist, Jeff Nichols, and many more. Today, as lab director, I'm blessed with the support of leaders, including people like Randy Boyd and Stacy Patterson at UT, and Luan Taylor and Ron Townsend at Battelle, by Jeff Smith, Michelle Buchanan, and Mo Khalil as my deputies at the lab, and by a leadership team whose talents allow ORNL to continue to dream big. This award is much more than me or the lab. It represents what is possible in our region, in East Tennessee. As Billy said so eloquently, this is a place that accepts anyone from anywhere if they have a contribution to make. And it's a place that helps them to fulfill their dreams. It has certainly enabled me to pursue my dreams for 33 years. Before Sindhu and I traveled to Qatar in 2012, we concluded that our home is here in Tennessee. We did not put up our home for sale. We knew we would be back. So to be recognized by the community that we chose as our home is very meaningful to us. I believe that the best days for East Tennessee and for Oak Ridge are yet to come. As Jonathan described, we truly can build an innovation city, a tech hub here that serves our nation and changes the world. We are taking new steps in partnership with Randy and Dondi Plowman via the Oak Ridge Institute. Jeff Lyash and TVA are actively engaged in the betterment of our region. And the Techstars initiative holds great promise as leaders throughout our area begin to engage. There are many, many people, companies and organizations, including many of you in this meeting, who are stepping up and looking to tomorrow. This Muddy Boot Award will always remind me of the work yet to do. And I look forward to working together on the success still to come. So thank you again very much for this recognition. I truly appreciate it.
Good afternoon, I'm Buddy Hines, Chair-elect of ETEC for next year. Eric, join me here. I know you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Done a nice job hitting curveballs all year. Let's see how you do with this one. We have somebody here that would like to speak with you.
Well, it's my pleasure to be back on stage today. It's a distinct honor and pleasure to introduce an individual selected as another one of this year's Muddy Boot Award winners. This individual is the ideal servant leader, has been active in Oak Ridge and East Tennessee for a couple of decades and has quietly, subtly emerged as one terrific leader. This individual moved from leading behind the scenes into prominent leadership roles, both in the community and professionally. This individual has been involved in the communities of Oak Ridge and more broadly East Tennessee with leadership positions in key organizations to include the United Way of Anderson County, Oak Ridge Children's Museum, Oak Ridge Chamber of Commerce, Tech 2020, Leadership Oak Ridge, and ETEC. This individual's professional accomplishments are impressive and have directly strengthened several business organizations in East Tennessee, as well as to help organizations deliver on the DOE mission with distinction. This individual's professional credentials are second to none. A PhD in nuclear engineering, bachelor's and master's degree in radiation sciences, and an MBA degree. This individual is a recognized expert in the science and practice of radiation safety as well as health physics more broadly. Some of his accomplishments include the architect of MARSIM, the multi-agency radiation survey and site investigation manual, which serves as a national standard for the characterization of DOE and NRC nuclear sites. Published a textbook on decommissioning health physics, led invaluable independent verification surveys of decontamination and decommissioning activities, past president of the Health Physics Society, founder of the decommissioning section of the Health Physics Society, and a member of the American Academy of Health Physics. This individual has had a long and distinguished career with Oak Ridge Associated Universities and recently joined the UCOR team. And finally, he is a really good guy. It's my honor and distinct privilege to introduce a friend and colleague who I have known for over 20 years as one of the recipients of this year's Muddy Boot Awards, Eric Abelquist. Congratulations, Eric. So well deserved, my friend.
Wow. Thank you, Ron. I am shocked.
We promised you some surprises as we went through this meeting. We just didn't tell you what they were going to be. But Eric, it's my privilege today to present you with the 2020 Muddy Boot. You're in a great class. Ron Woody, Dr. Zachariah have immense talents, as you know, as do you. You're creative. You've stepped up to a unique challenge this year, and we're so appreciative you were the chairman during this year. Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah. And your wife is here to join.
Come on up.
If you would like to say something.
I would like to say a few words. This is truly a shock. The ETEC staff does such a wonderful job. This is my lovely wife, Sandy. Sandy, this is the room I come to every Friday morning from 7:30 to 8:30 for the last 15 years. This has been a wonderful organization that has just helped us share ideas, how to move this community forward. And so I'm just so thrilled with this. How did you keep this from me? I mean, all of you. This is a real shock, and I'm just so grateful for this. This community means so much. Being able to meet with everyone, friends and colleagues, every Friday morning. This is an outstanding community, and there's so much more that we're going to do. I want to thank my ORUD friends and colleagues. 27 years of just great accomplishment, great work, great friendships. I retired from ORUD just a few months ago, and I've joined the UCOR team, as Ron said. I just finished my 5th week, and so I'm still learning my way around the organization, but I'm already impressed by the caliber of my new friends and colleagues at UCOR. But for 15 years, I've been coming here and working with Jim and now Tracy and Nicole, and I'm so thankful for all of you. And Buddy, you threw me a curveball. I had no idea that this is what was in store. I was getting ready to hand you the bell. Instead, I end up with a muddy boot. This is, and I'm just so grateful. I don't know what to say. And this is the kind of rambling speech you get when I don't have the ETEC staff to help me say something that sounds a little more coherent. But thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Appreciate it tremendously.
Eric, we're not quite done. At this time, we have a parting gift. We'd like to thank you for your dedication to ETEC. For 15 years, you've been coming here regularly, and it has not gone unnoticed, of course. I guess when you took this job in 2018, of course, you didn't know what 2020 would offer, but as we said before, you hit the curveball out of the park. I think you haven't missed a meeting. That's what I've been told. I think that's probably a record that will never be bettered, of course, and we do appreciate that. With that, Jim, I think we have a parting gift back here. I'm sure it will pale in comparison to this little mantelpiece here, but we will give that to you.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks very much. Not sure what's in it. I guess it's appropriate to open it.
Yeah. It's one of those left-handed gifts.
A left-handed gift. Oh, this is really nice. I don't know if you could see that, but it's a beautiful leather, and it is left-handed. I appreciate this very much. Thank you. Well, now it's time to part with the bell. For those of you who have faithfully tuned in each Friday morning, for the first number of Zoom meetings, I was shaking our It's a Wonderful Life bell, and Jim said, you know what, you need to get the real bell if you're going to be official. So we've been doing the real bell for the last couple of months. This year has been a memorable year for all of us. And let me tell you a little story about the bell. Since the early 1990s, there has been a new chair of the ETEC board every year. Over the years, we've lost 4 of 26 chairs. Herman Postma in 2004, Ben Adams in 2017, Nat Rivas in 2018, and Pete Craven last summer. It was Nat Rivas who instituted the tradition of ringing the bell to start the ETEC meeting Friday mornings over 15 years ago. So as we think about traditions, we would like to continue one that we began many years ago at the annual meeting, the passing of the bell. So I would like to thank all the leaders who have shared their expertise with ETEC over the years, and I've continued to look forward to working with Buddy and all of the ETEC members to continue to take this organization and our community forward. It is my honor to pass the bell over to Buddy Hines, the 2021 ETEC chair.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks very much. I can't tell you how humble I am and grateful to be asked to do this. Looking at the predecessors that I've been asked to succeed, it's incredibly humbling. Looking at the award winners, including my friend Eric and the other folks, it's really just remarkable to be here. My dad worked at this lab for 40 years, and I never really knew what he did out here, but in recent years I've come to understand the importance of what he did, and I'm sure he'd be proud. But I really want to thank the ETEC staff, watching them in action the last day or so and this morning getting prepared for this meeting, and none of you I don't think will truly know what went into pulling this off, but it's really been remarkable and without a hitch. I want to thank the Rustic Roots team, Matthew and his team. They've done a fantastic job. Holly Holloway and her team, her advanced planning service has made this doable, and it's really been remarkable. But I really want to thank our sponsors again. Without them, of course, this would not be possible. Cato Information Management, Boston Government Services, Cadre 5, Energy Solutions, Fluor, IA Technologies, Materials and Chemistry Laboratory, Berry, Mesa Associates, Navarro, ORUD, Pinnacle Financial, Retirement Planning Services, ProToServe, TVA, UCOR, and UT Battelle. You know, I think that we all know that we've got a good thing going here in Oak Ridge, and I think we all know that if we pull together, we can continue the successes that we've had well into the future. I know 2021 will offer its unique challenges. I hope to see everybody in this room again. It is very strange to see it set up as a television studio as opposed to a vibrant networking event. You know, this organization's benefited everybody that's either on this call or in this room, personally, professionally, spiritually. In some way, we've all benefited from being here. And I just want to thank everybody for their resilience and being here on a regular basis and continuing to support ETEC. Jim, thank you for your efforts. It's really been remarkable how we've stayed through this pandemic, and we're going to live through it, I assure you. But with that, I'm going to call this meeting adjourned, and I will see everybody on January the 8th, 2021. Thank you.